Hey everyone, it's Stefanie Garcia, and this is the Art of Becoming series, where we talk all about the journey between where you are right now and where you want to be, and all the stuff that has to happen in between to get you there. If you're ready, let's get started. Hey everyone, I hope you're doing well wherever you're at. Two things before I even get into this podcast. First thing is, I want you guys please excuse the mic. The audio of this is not as great as I would like it to be. I'm in between mics. My old mic went out, and I'm trying something new, and that's not quite where I want it to be. So I'm probably gonna be switching mics out again. But in the meantime, I still wanted to get another episode out to you all. So I just I'm using what I got, right, right off the. You listened to last week's episode, getting started. Then you start with where you're at, and you start with what you have to get it out there, right? So second thing, I want to say thank you. Thank you to everyone who is listening to this podcast and anybody who is watching the web version of it on YouTube. This started off as a web series and it became a podcast. So, no, wherever you're listening to, whatever format you use, it doesn't matter. Whatever works best for you. Either way, whichever. I just want to say thank you for the fact that you're even listening and that you're even um, watching. I get messages, I've been getting messages now of people telling me that they're listening and they're watching and that they enjoy it and they're finding it useful. And to me, that means a whole lot. I started this series as a way at first to process some things that were going on in my life. Then it became a way for me to express what I was learning. It's just my way of contributing to the world or contributing to the conversation and offering what I have to offer the world. And the fact that anybody is getting anything out of it, I just and you're taking the time to let me know that you're listening and that you're getting things out of it. It just means a lot to me, and it really just motivates me to keep going and keep offering and keep putting this out there. So I just want to say thank you to everybody who is listening, and thank you so much to everybody who's messaged me. I really appreciate you taking the time to do that. Okay, so without further ado, let's get into today's episode. So originally, when I was going to do this episode, I had a whole other topic in mind. But as I was writing out everything I needed to do for this series, for this episode, um, something else occurred to me that I felt like needed to be talked about before the thing that I had already planned to talk about. I still am planning to talk about that, but I just felt like there was a step before that I was missing. And part of me has kind of felt a little frustrated that I didn't actually talk about it in the last episode because I feel like it's really important. I feel like in some ways, when I was talking about the difference between starting and beginning, I feel like I worried for a minute that I was actually making it sound like it's so easy to just go from starting to beginning. Let me just jump back and explain. Like, if you haven't actually listened to that episode, let me give you the brief synopsis of it. Starting, when you're starting on something, you're starting from where you are with what you have, and you're using that to just explore an idea. That's when you're starting something. So you want to go get something in your life, or you want to bring something into your reality. You want to make something happen. You want to manifest in your life. Starting is where you just kind of get the idea and you explore it a little bit using what you have to get started. So one of the examples I gave was this podcast, where for me, I had the idea, or I'm sorry, the web series. I had an idea that I wanted to create it. And I literally started with me just taking my computer and just hitting record. And then I just spoke, right? That was starting. And I explored it. I kind of just practiced it and I tried it. And that's all I did. Beginning is when it has a little bit more meat to it. It's when you actually commit and you put it on your schedule and you're doing it every single week. You're actually making and you're actually taking physical action consistently towards making it happen. So for me, for a while there, for the web series, I would create a episode, and then months would pass by. Then I create another episode, and then like maybe 3 months passed by. It wasn't consistent. It was just me starting with what I had and exploring. The difference between that and now, it's a consistent putting it in my schedule. It's on my schedule. I'm doing it now because I'm committing to bringing it into the world. See what I'm saying? There's a difference between that. Now, the journey from starting to beginning, there's a space in between. The real question when it came to I needed to ask myself is, why was I letting so much time pass between those episodes? Why was I not committing straight off the bat? And when it came to other things in my life, why was I just stopping at the idea of them and not actually going forward? Why was I not moving forward and progressing forward? That was the real question I needed to ask myself. So, and that the answer to that, what was actually happening for me in that moment, that is what I want to talk about today in this episode. Okay, I want to talk about why we're not committing. It's really, really easy to tell people to just go for it, to just do it, to not be scared, to not let fear stop you. But the thing is, I mean, that's really prevalent in our culture. You'll see it all over social media. And if anything like me, you see that kind of stuff. And when you're in that stuck space, you get really frustrated. You start beating yourself up because you're going, or, you look at that stuff and you'll get inspired for a moment, and maybe you'll get inspired to do something, but I don't know, this never produces anything. It never actually creates some kind of action, or it doesn't actually create any kind of physical action that produces anything. It's easy for people to say that. It's easy to just, it can be inspiring in the moment to see it on the social media. But if it was that easy, then so many more people would be making progress. But that's just not the case. So the question really is why? Why is that not happening? And what I've come to find is it's because many of us get stuck in the space between wanting what we want and that moment when our brain kicks in and starts to shoot out all of the reasons that you can't, or that it won't work out for you, or how it's not possible for you, but maybe it's possible for somebody else, or you start getting to that place where you're afraid of what this person and that person will think. It just all those things that start to stop you. The brain starts trying to get you to think and believe that it's the hardest, most dangerous thing that you can do, so you won't go for that. And you'll be asking yourself, why the hell is my brain doing that? I want to go and do this thing. I really want to make this happen. Why is it stopping me? It makes no sense. I mean, and honestly, when you look at it, you go, this makes no freaking sense. Your brain should be working for you. If you want to do this thing, there should be a no-brainer. It should be making it happen, right? But the reason it's not doing that is because the brain's job is to assess threats and to keep us safe. And when you're doing something new that you've never done before, it seems like that seems like a really big threat to your brain. And so again, it just wants to stop you from going there, because when you're doing something you've never done before, you're going into the unknown, and there's a lot of variables there that the brain can't assess because you, again, have never done it before. So it comes up with all the possible things that could happen because of that unknown and all those variables, right? So, a long time ago, I heard someone say that when you plant a seed, the first thing that comes up is not the sprout, it's the dirt. And I feel like this analogy describes exactly what I'm wanting to talk about today really, really well. When you plant a seed, and in this case, when you consider something in your mind that you want, the dirt that comes up is everything your brain shoots out. It's all the stuff in the way of what you want when it comes to your beliefs. Your work is to clean that up and clear it out. Unfortunately, that's not what we do. We get stuck here. We get stuck in this place of wanting what we want and our brain shooting this shit out. And then we get in there and we believe in it and we don't go any further. You know, our brain starts throwing these things out of the reasons that we can't, and we go, okay, sure, fine. All right, you're absolutely right. You know, we don't even question it. You know, we just believe that there's a dragon on the other side, and we just believe in that potential danger instead of its potential. Does that make sense what I just said? You know, instead of questioning the threat, we believe in that threat. You know, we believe in that potential danger instead of the potentiality of the thing that we're wanting. Our brains have this negative balance or this negativity bias where we just go down the rabbit hole of the worst case scenario, but we never really just go down the rabbit hole of possibilities, of all the great things can come from this thing that we're wanting. We just go, nope, horrible, right? And it's just maddening. It's absolutely maddening. So before we can get out there and begin to bring what we want into reality, we must first pass the first barrier of entry, which is our minds, right? Committing allows you to move over this hump of the mind and then into this taking physical action towards bringing what it is that you want into reality. But before you can even get into that deep commitment, this is a space that you will find yourself in. Before you can even get into that space of commitment and going for it, this is the space we find ourselves in, right? So if you aren't actually taking any physical action towards bringing what you want into reality, if you're not facing yourself and really in it, you're here. You're in this muck, you're in this dirt. You're in the dreaming stage, planting the seeds, but not actually you're not actually dealing with the dirt or bringing anything into fruition. And I think that many people are probably aware of the space. Probably a lot of people are aware that they're here. So the real question then becomes, well, what do you do about it? You know you're in the muck, you know you're in the mud, but how the hell do you get out? One thing that I know for sure is that you cannot will yourself or push yourself to get through this. Like will and pushing are just not enough. Now there are people who can push themselves. You can push yourself, you can will yourself. You can, like life experiences can inspire you to move past this place in your mind. You can get pretty far, but there's a certain point where you're gonna hit a wall and you're gonna need to get some help, especially if you've been here before. Or been here for a really long time, you're probably pretty really entrenched in the mud and the muck, and you just need some help to get out of here. You know, and a lot of us are not really aware of how thick the mud is or how we even got here. Or we're not even, you might be aware that you're here, but then you may not be actually aware you're here to begin with, because you might actually be thinking you're doing just fine. Or you might be thinking, you know what, that's a big dream that I have. That's okay. I want that maybe one day. You don't actually think I can actually take the steps right now to making it happen. It's always been put off in some way. And that's the brain's tactic. Instead of you going for that threat or going for that thing that you want that it's perceiving as a threat, it just keeps going, okay, yeah, one day. Okay, yeah, one day. It keeps pushing it off and pushing it off. And every time you think about going for it, it distracts you in some way. And that's the brain's tactic to keep you safe and keep you from actually having to go there. Because there's just so much that it's calculating that would possibly happen that's just trying to keep you safe, right? The solution that I have found that works the best is getting yourself coached. Getting yourself a coach is really important, especially if you've been stuck here and you just feel like you're going round and round and round in circles, not making progress, not going for the thing that you want. you just, for some reason, for whatever reason, can't get over this hump to make it happen. There clearly are some blind spots that you don't know. You clearly have some blind spots, and a coach will help you to find them. You don't know what you don't know, and a coach can help you get there. It can help you to see what you can't see, right? You can get yourself pretty far on your own, but it's what you don't know that will ultimately keep you from where you want to go. So, I mean, I can give you a lot of techniques, but it's only going to get you so far, because the mind that wants to get you out of the mud is the same mind that wants to keep you in the mud. and because it's trying to keep you safe. You see the problem? It's trying to protect you. So it's not really actually trying to get you out of the mud. It's trying to get you to think that you're still not in the mud, or the mud's not that bad, but it still wants to keep you there. So you're getting a coach essentially is the third party in that conversation between you and your mind. And that coach can get in there and see, hey, listen, this is what your mind's doing. Pay attention. Hey, your mind's just trying to keep you safe, but it's also keeping you stuck. And it can call out those tactics that the brain is using. And once you become aware of it, you can clear it and you can move past it. And it will tell you the experience of finally moving past the space that you've been stuck for the longest time is incredibly refreshing. It's more than refreshing, because to me, it's just been an amazing experience for me personally. It's been maddening to try to figure out what I don't know and to keep trying to figure it out and not know how to get past it and not know why I'm not able to get past it. And again, beating myself up, and it can be so maddening, but finally to be able to get somebody to see it from a different angle that I'm not seeing it has been so phenomenal. So this is something I always suggest. Now, you can work with somebody like me to help you out to get past these things, or you can find somebody else that you feel that you resonate with. Either way, I highly suggest getting help with this. I really do. I had thought about giving you some tips and techniques, but just there isn't anything else besides having somebody else come in here and see what you don't see. I can't even push that enough. I can't. I know it might sound like I'm repeating myself, but honestly, this is it. All right. If you want to get to that space of I'm doing it, let's go, I'm going to make it happen, especially if you haven't been making it happen for a really long time, you really need to get in there and get somebody to examine your mind and see where you're holding yourself back, where you're standing in your own way, where you're just going around and around and around in circles and not really getting anywhere, but thinking you are, right? So I really feel like this is something that could help you get moving. I just can't say that enough. So I'm going to leave you with that. If you have any questions about this, or you feel confused in any way, or want to really talk about something else that I said in here that you just aren't quite getting, or you want me to go deeper into it, get a hold of me, let me know, and we'll cover it. Okay, because I really want you to get this. I really want you, all of these topics in these episodes, I really want you to get, or I really want to make sure that they're clear for you and they're helpful. That's just so important, incredibly important to me, that the work that I put out there and that I contribute is useful. So until next time, everybody, take care. Bye. Thanks so much for listening. If you'd like, share this episode with a friend. That way we can get it into the ears of people who need it the most. You can also visit my website at theartofbecoming.me. While there, you can go ahead and download my guide, Own That Shit, 3 ways to own who you are, own what you do, and own it out into the world. Thank you again so much for listening, and I'll speak to you soon.